office that we need to take for the first part of business. So
We do. I want to welcome, first of all, our new HEDRA Commissioner, Trevor Johnson. Trevor is here tonight at his first meeting. First official act of business is for us to swear him in officially, so I'm going to come over there. Trevor, if you can stand up and raise your right hand. If your microphone's on, please turn that on. And repeat after me, please. I, Trevor Johnson,
I, Trevor Johnson,
do affirm
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the United States of America,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and the Charter and ordinances
and the chartering ordinances
of the City of Hastings,
of the City of Hastings,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of a HEDRA Commissioner
the duties of a HEDRA Commissioner
for the City of Hastings,
for the City of Hastings,
counties of Dakota and Washington,
counties of Dakota and Washington,
and State of Minnesota,
and State of Minnesota,
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
according to the best of my ability and understanding.
Well, welcome aboard, Commissioner Johnson.
Thank you.
okay, well, moving forward then, if you want to review the minutes from last meeting, and I entertain a motion for approval of those minutes. Is there any corrections or changes to them?
I'll make a motion to approve the regular meeting and the closed door meeting from December 9th.
Second. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? That's approved, so. And the next item of business is our bills that we have. Is there anything you want to say, John or Eric?
Sure. Could give a review of the bills. The larger bills we have on there are former acquisitions from Block 28 for 410 and 412 Vermillion Street. We also had some Alta survey work that was done for those purchases as well, and legal work. So that comprises most of the bills that we have for December. And I could stand for any questions.
Any questions for John?
Thanks,
Commissioner
Chair. Jen, will we be done seeing confluence bills ever?
The short answer to that, Commissioner, is yes. The answer as to when, we have two responsibilities left with that property: the encapsulation and the vapor intrusion. With the encapsulation, I hope to be done here in the next 2 weeks. I've been told that before, but that's coming to an end here. And with the vapor intrusion, that's about 98% done, I would say. There's about 1 or 2 days left of work that the contractor is going to have to do once the HVAC is complete with the building. So short of it is it's coming down there. But yes, when we see the continual bills here for environmental consulting, it's a challenge.
Just to follow up, how much of this is unbudgeted? Are we getting into? I noticed in the report that there was some extra work that had to be done when they had to come back. Or is HEDRA on the hook for some of this findings that we weren't prepared for?
Yeah, when we take a look at the work that's being done within the building itself on the encapsulation work, that's under our responsibility, unfortunately. Unbudgeted, yes. We're looking at taking the funding out of other environmental sources. What that does is it prevents us from doing other environmental work, particularly on Block 1.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? And if not, I look for a motion to approve the bills. Martha or Commissioner Sullivan, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And that carries. Next item of business is the election and appointment of officers.
Okay, I could give some direction to the board on this one. For the calendar year, we need to appoint a president, vice president, and treasurer. These three positions would need to be elected from the citizen commissioners at large. So the council commission representatives would not be eligible to serve as these. So that is a motion second that can be offered by any commissioner here. That could be done individually, or that could be done as a slate. We also have some standard appointments on there as well. Eric Moss as the secretary, Chris Idemiller, our finance manager at the city, as the assistant treasurer, and to designate Corey Land, our city attorney, and Andrea McDale-Paler as legal counsel for HEDRA. So I leave the nominations for president, vice president, and treasurer for your consideration in choices, and then looking at those recommendations for the other positions. I can stand for any questions.
Mark? Commissioner Vaughn?
Can we make one motion for everything, all the dots there?
We can.
If it's okay, then I'll make a motion that the next president will be Bruce Gublish, sorry about that. Vice president would be Scott Sinclair, and the treasurer would be Peggy Horsch. And also, I recommend Eric Moss as our secretary, Chris Edmer as our finance manager, and our Corey Land as our attorney, along with Andrea McDowell.
Is there any discussion on that, or is there a motion to approve that?
I would move to approve the slate as recommended by Commissioner Vaughn.
Okay. And the second? All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that carries.
All right, thank you. And as we move on here, we also have our banking signatories as well. So the aforementioned nominations or the appointments of president, treasurer, assistant treasurer, as we previously elected, would go on that resolution. So I'm looking for a motion and second for banking signatories.
I'll move the resolution for the banking signatories 2022-01.
And I'll second that. All in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that carries, so.
Okay, thank you. And we have Eric Moss, our Economic Development Coordinator, presenting remotely tonight. So I'm going to turn the meeting over to him for our next item, which is the consideration of the revolving loan request for Spiral Foods Co-op. And looks like Eric is able to share his screen. I want to check something, Eric, quick, to see how this works with the rest of the group looking at this. Hold on.
Sounds good.
So if I go to, okay, I think this will work. Yep, I gotta get the right mouse. Okay, we're all set to go, Eric.
Excellent. Appreciate it. Other members, tonight, for you, staff is not seeking a formal request this evening, but we did want to bring this to your attention, any feedback that you may have. Staff received a request from Spiral Foods Co-op for a revolving loan in the amount of $150,000 for an expansion project at their current location, 1250 South Frontage Road. The purpose of the project would be to expand their square footage to allow for increased growth in the business. Total project cost is estimated at just over $460,000. In looking at the proposed project, proposed using a federal economic idle loan / grant, as well as potential HEDRA funds, member equity, and potential additional source from Vermilion Bank or other banking sources. Staff looked at the business's historical financial information, found that it's a good business, it runs a good ship. It's a credible business, one that we should consider taking with. With that being said, as is outlined typically with our revolving loan fund, we serve as a gap filler. We like to be the last person approached. If there's a small gap, we want to help projects get over that finish line. Currently, while there are a couple of funding sources being teed up, none have quite yet been secured entirely, and so for that reason, that isn't asking for a formal action this evening, but again, we did want to get any questions, as well as provide Spiral Foods Co-op an opportunity to present their project to the HEDRA board in advance of seeking formal action. Staff does hope to bring this forward to your next meeting, if all possible, otherwise in March. But again, we prefer to bring forward in February if ready. That'll turn over questions, and Matt from Spire Food is in attendance this evening to address you as well.
Thank you, Eric. Matt, did you want to say anything here today?
I guess the things I would like to know.
Would you come to the podium?
Yeah, thank you. Very good.
Right there, thank you.
Great. Right off the bat, I guess I would say that if you're not familiar, although I recognize most people here in the room today, Spiral Food Co-op is a consumer-owned cooperative, meaning that it's owned by its members. Currently, we are sitting at, since we moved to our new location, today we're at 1,676 members within the Hastings community. We are arguably one of the longest-running groceries in town, being that we started off as a worker cooperative. When we started off, we were owned by our membership, and the only employees at the time were the general manager. Everyone else that wanted to get a discount there needed to actually work in the store. We changed that in 1992, so that created a lot of challenges as a business. We moved up to our current location when we were previously downtown. We were in the current location of Hastings Family Service. We had to downsize the size of our business because at the time we only had 6 months to move. So we took the spot that was available. And although the spot has a better visibility, some of the challenges that we've ran across within the last couple of years have been both due to road closure when the frontage road was being redeveloped. We've also had the challenges of the pandemic just like anybody else. And our size is kind of limiting. And currently without an occupied space next door, it looks pretty darn empty there. So our goal really is to move from our current location into the liquor store space, thus expanding our total overall square footage. Currently, we're operating at about 1.175 million as of last year. We expect within first year, as per the pro forma, to be at 2.1 million and thus growing ever, more so after that. We really do feel that after 40-some years of business in the community, we're not moving anywhere because we are community-owned. We would really like to see that support from the city if possible. And if there's any questions that the council has or commissioners, please, I'm here for that.
Thank you, Matt. Is there any questions for Matt? Mark?
Thank you. Matt, can you confirm, is Spiral looking to move into the other one and vacate the other one, or be all one big building?
Initially, we had put forth the proposal of using USDA funding to purchase the building. Unfortunately, we started that program about 6 weeks before COVID hit in 2020, so we did not hit our goal. We needed to have at least 25% down to qualify for that USDA Rural Advantage kind of financing. So as of this fall, we were informed that the potential was that the building would be for sale. And if that was the case, we would need to vacate. We were able to arrange a solution to move into the space next door. And our current space will be split up like it previously was before we were there 10 years ago. So currently, I know that there is one space that will be occupied as soon as we're able to move out. And the other, I think, is yet to be determined.
Okay. So to confirm, you're not trying to buy the building, you're just looking for a loan to move your business?
You got it. And honestly, if it was as simple as just moving racks, that would have been very nice. For us, the challenges are, when you're talking about a grocery store, it's running plumbing, it's running electrical, it's meeting the code requirements of the Minnesota Department of Agriculture. So we have to really build it out to suit to be functional for our membership and for the needs.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Lori?
Thank you.
Commissioner Boggs.
Thank you. So is there an amount of funding that is committed by the membership for the build as well? Or is that part of what you're trying to do as well?
I mean, if we look historically, the membership so far has given about just about $250,000 overall for funding for projects in the past and currently. So right now we're hitting the same crowd again. So we're looking for $90,000 from them for a commitment. We believe that there is some ability to be refunded through funds through the EIDL loan program, which we did apply for. And being a cooperative, it takes about 14 more steps than anybody else. So as far as that goes, we're in the process of filing that appeal. If we're able to get reimbursed for those funds, that will provide about $200,000. And so our goal was between those monies, reimbursing ourselves, and then ultimately the $150,000 from the HEDRA loan. It's good terms as far as that goes. And then looking for about $90,000 from our membership.
Okay, thank you.
So Matt, when you expand, I'm sure you've looked at all of this, but what areas of profitability are you looking at with the expansion? I mean, from a business perspective.
So currently, our businesses, historically, we've had our biggest advantages have been our wellness section, and most people know that we're a good place to come for spices and other things like that. But we actually see, since we signed on with National Cooperative Grocers as a buying group, we started to see, and you've likely seen in the journal inserts that we've been doing now, we have much better pricing than we did even 2 years ago. With that, our cost of goods has come down, meaning that we're a lot more competitive, which also means that we're more profitable. Currently, we're about 10% over last year. We expect some of our biggest growth to be in our grocery segment. And beyond that, our produce set is looking at about doubling. Bulk will be continuing to grow just slightly, more space for meat, frozen, wellness, a lot more space for grocery. And for those of you that have been in the store, nobody will have to fight to get around an end cap or watch somebody try to check out. And we'll have one organized entrance and exit. So all of the above will make it a little bit better. I also feel that because of the visibility on that corner, just by moving to that space, right now it's not doing anybody any favors by being empty. So I really do think that it'll be an asset and a much more visible location for us.
Okay. Eric, did you have anything else that you? Eric, did you have anything you wanted to say yet, or are we?
Concluded my presentation.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions? Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, and Mr. President, HEDRA Commissioners will continue to work with Spiral Foods Cooperative to get more information for you for some future action.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Moving on through the agenda here, I think I'll continue with Mr. Moss here. Eric has been instrumental in putting together a facade improvement grant program, and tonight we see 3 applications coming forward to us under this program here. So I'll leave it over to Eric.
Under before you this evening, the request for the first of a couple of facade improvement grants that we received based on the program that you piloted and approved for this year, 2022. This first one is for 215 Sibley Street. The purpose of the project would be to restore the second floor windows and replace some storm windows on those same second floor windows. This project has been reviewed by HPC and approved by those as being appropriate for that historic structure. Eligible cost for the project is just shy of $10,000. 50% of the eligible cost is the terms of the program. Proposing that HEDRA approve a grant to BM&K LLC for the amount of $4,922.50 at 215 Sibley Street for the replacement of those windows. That'll stand for questions.
Any questions tonight? Eric, I just have one question. So because they prepaid the $2,000, that makes it ineligible for the total project cost?
Mr. President, that's correct, yeah.
Okay,
The
it's
terms of the program are that any costs incurred prior to formal approval by HEDRA are no longer eligible.
Okay, that sounds good. Any questions on this one, or are we just looking for a motion to approve this?
If there's no other questions, a motion would be in order. Thank you.
We're looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022-02.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that is approved. And next one is Resolution 2022-03. So, Eric?
Thank you, Mr. President. Moving on to the next agenda item. This is a facade improvement grant request for 103 2nd Street East, the former Town Cobbler building, which has been bought by Caitlin. They are proposing to replace the existing awning and putting a new awning. Be a 2-foot by 18-foot non-illuminated charcoal gray fabric awning. HPC has also reviewed this proposed project and approved it. Total project cost $5,350. 100% of those costs are eligible. So with that, we're proposing a facade improvement grant in the amount of $2,675 to Cedarton LLC, the ownership, for the purposes of the awning replacement at 103 2nd Street East. That'll stand for questions.
Any questions tonight?
Motion to approve Resolution 2022-03.
I'll second that as well.
And all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
That is opposed, and that is approved. And moving forward to the third resolution, 2022-04 for improvements on the 1800 and 1806 Vermillion Street property. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. President. For you this evening is the third and final grant request for this evening. This is for replacement of the current front canopy at 1800-1806 Vermillion Street. You might be aware currently that front facade includes some cedar wood shakes that are well beyond their lifespan and have a considerable amount of rot in them. The new owners, Doug and Sunshine, which are there on the audience, I believe, have proposed to remove that and replace it with a standing steam steel canopy to greatly improve the exterior condition of that property. Eligible costs come to $16,100. And the grant will only fund up to $5,000 in a grant. So with that, we're grant approval in the amount of $5,000 to Douglas and Sunshine Grando for the replacement of the awning at 1800 to 1806 Vermillion Street. And as I mentioned, I believe the owner in the audience this evening should hear questions directly for that. Thank you.
Hi, Eric.
Any questions tonight? Well, thank you for coming tonight, and thank you for making this improvement to your building, so.
We would just like to have we have the opportunity. We've been here for about 5 years. We're from Northfield and built our business in Northfield. And in the last 5 years, we've been delighted at how welcoming the city of Hastings and the community here has been for our business. And when we had the opportunity to buy this building this summer, we're excited to kind of, set roots here even further. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Commissioner Vaughn?
Yeah, thanks for coming. I'm just curious, the building that you purchased, does it include the brick one behind it also? Got it. And my question then would be for staff, is that a different address, or are they eligible for that improvement if they needed to do anything to that building through this program?
That is technically part of the 1800 address.
It is already, okay. Thank you for that.
We look forward to having you for a tour when we're done.
Thanks. Okay, so we're looking for a motion to approve 2022-04. Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that carries. Congratulations. Moving forward, then we have the resolution 2022-05 to approve amendment to the development contract between NJS Development and HEDRA in the city of Hastings. Eric, is that yours too?
Thank you, Mr. President. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So before you this evening is a proposed First Amendment to a development contract between HEDRA, the City of Hastings, and NJS Development LLC. This is the developer that's working on putting together the apartment project on the C site. The developer has been working with adjacent property owners, which has caused a small delay in the project and has resulted in staff proposing the following amendments. I do want to make it known that the developer has closed on the property at 404 3rd Street East, which would have been the privately owned property directly west of the former parking lot of the UBC site. With the proposed amendment, submittal of construction documents would adjust from January 10th to within 30 days of closing. The closing date would adjust from February 28th to 60 days from receiving land use entitlement approvals from the city. It would establish that land use entitlements be submitted by the contingency date, which is April 10th, 2022, which will ultimately trickle down and mean that the closing date would then be on or before June 9th, with commencement of construction no later than June 15th and completion by December 31st, 2023. That will stand for questions.
Any questions for Eric? Hearing none, then I would ask for a motion to approve this resolution.
I will move.
Martha? And any second? All in favor, signal by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
And opposed? And that motion carries. Next is the Resolution 2022-06, approving joint powers agreement between HEDRA and Dakota County for the Open to Business program. Is Eric or John?
Thank you, Mr. President. Resolution 2022-06 is requesting to approve the joint powers agreement between HEDRA, Dakota County CDA, for the Open Business Program. City of Hastings has participated in the Open Business Program since 2013. Really, the purpose of that is to provide business advisors access to capital for our local businesses and entrepreneurs. In 2021, the Open Business Program assisted 22 Hastings businesses, as well as 17 of our residents in that calendar year. While we are one of the smaller cities within Hastings that participates, we consistently are one of the higher users of this. This is a program that staff continually promotes with businesses and entrepreneurs that reach out looking for that technical assistance, which we've seen a great need for with respect to pandemic and accounting and all the fun that comes with that. CDA covers 50% of the total project cost for open business, and then looks to the largest 11 cities within Dakota County to split up and cover the remaining half. They base each city's amount paid in based on our population, trying to make it fair or equal. With that, HEDRA's cost will be $5,100 for the each calendar year. This will be a 2-year coming into a joint powers agreement, excuse me. So the full budget cost to HEDRA will be $10,300. So with that, staff is seeking a motion to approve the resolution provided to you and included in your packet. That will stand for questions.
Any questions for Eric? Have none either. That's a wonderful program. I know in the banking industry, we've referred quite a few people to Open to Business to help them with their program too. So I would support it. And so looking for a motion to approve Resolution 2022-06. Lori, and second? Yep. All in favor, say aye. And aye.
Aye.
And that opposed, and that approved, that is approved. It looks like that's all of the items that we have. Now it's more just the HEDRA updates, if we can go with that. So start off with the revolving loan fund update. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. President. Annual update for the revolving loan program. Presently, HEDRA has 12 active loans. Those loans total $184,746.67 as of January 1. Successfully refinanced 8 of those loans with terms and rates approved by HEDRA at the end of 2021. 2021. We do have one additional loan that has reached out since the beginning of the new year, which now wants to move forward with refinance. We're happy to see that. Monthly payments are just about $3,200. And also very good to see in 2021, we had 6 loans get paid off, totaling a little over $72,000. Being a revolving loan, we'd love to see that money come back, put it back in the community, keep it working. So just a general update, no action needed, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions tonight for Eric? Thank you, Eric, for the update on that. And next, we have the Confluence Environmental Remediation Update.
Thank you, Mr. President and HEDRA Commissioners. Wanted to provide an update on the ongoing environmental remediation of the Hudson Manufacturing Facility, the Confluence Building, and provide a little bit of update, a background as to how we got to the point we're at today and what's in store for the future there. As you know, we've purchased the building about 12 years ago for redevelopment purposes. We looked at the project site and made a determination that we were going to rehab the building instead of demolishing the building as a new site. With that has come complications, and certainly been some delays and things that have gone on. But ultimately, the decision was made to preserve that building as part of the historic fabric of Hastings and to reuse it. We've had we had a purchase agreement with Confluence Development. They've purchased the building, as you know. They're putting in a hotel facility, banquet facility, restaurant, and apartments, and that is ongoing. The property was transferred in 2018. Part of that transfer required us to perform certain environmental obligations. As we were going forward as owner of the property, we did a lot within the building itself. We had about $5 million worth of grants and did a lot of environmental remediation within that building. A lot of that done before Confluence's ownership. However, after the transfer, there was still 2 items in which we were on the hook for completion. One of those was a vapor intrusion mitigation system, which is essentially an active system to vent out contaminated vapor from the soils. As I mentioned earlier, that's about 98% done. All the equipment's in there, all the mechanical, all the piping. It needs to be plugged in and tested with the HVAC. That's a couple of days' work from our contractor on that one. The item that has not gone well and has not gone as expected has been the encapsulation. Now, there's wood joists and beams within the building, primarily within the first and second floor, that were contaminated, PCB, lead, other types of contaminants. Through our environmental investigation, the measure to remediate that was to encapsulate, which was essentially to put on an approved thick paint, which would encapsulate those areas, prevent those from being any sort of environmental issue. With the encapsulation of that came the scraping. So essentially, we need to go in there, scrape off all the old paint. Prior to entering into this, we did some test spots, determined a couple of different ways in which to do this, found the way that we thought would work the best with our contractor, sent them to town, got the encapsulant and the scraping done. That was a large project, about $400,000 altogether. We entered into the project contract in 2019, and we completed the work around February of 2020. And then the building stayed vacant for the most part during the time period on the interior. Exterior work was going on in 2020. In 2021, in the spring, we were made aware that the encapsulant was flaking within the building. And so we spent a lot of time on 2021 determining what to do about that. What that's led to, unfortunately, has been substantial scraping and reapplication of encapsulant throughout the building. And we have finished up the first floor about a month ago. We're in the basement area right now. Scraping is concluded today. The encapsulant will take place next week on that. That has had an additional cost to us of about $100,000. That's a substantial sum of money, and frankly, a sum of money that we had not budgeted for. Our obligations for the project compel us to do that, and we've had to find other sources to do that. The source that we propose is we had allocated $100,000 towards environmental remediation of Block 1. This is the area north of Art Space. As you may be aware, we had a grant application or a grant that was awarded to us for that a couple of years ago. I'm confident that we'll be able to receive that grant again upon future development, but there is a match requirement in it. The environmental remediation that we've had to do at the Confluence development and the payment of that is certainly going to impact our ability to do that. If we were to move forward with the Block 1 environmental remediation, we would have to find other sources at this point. So wanted to bring that to your attention here, answer any questions that you may have. Certainly this is a disappointment as far as the amount of money that we put into this building and the continued environmental obligations that we have. So I can stand for any questions.
Any questions for John and staff? Commissioner Brox?
I don't want to be pointing fingers, but I guess I'm trying to understand who advised the methodology and then recommended that we use it. Was there cost that was split between us and whoever the consultant was who recommended that methodology, or do we have to bear all the cost of that redo?
Commissioner, we're working on that as we speak. We've been in contact with the environmental contractor that we had for the scraping and the encapsulant to work on that project amount as far as the total amount that was in there, because we're under contract and under a certain methodology. We thought this was going to be completed. So we are in negotiations with them. So I hope that that will be smaller than what we see.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Is there a possibility for us to go back and apply for more of a grant on this if there's cost overruns or anything?
Yeah. Mr. President, unfortunately, with most of these grant programs, that you can't be eligible for work completed, so I don't think so.
Okay, just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah, worth an ask.
Yep, thank you for the update. Is there
Sure.
anything we need to do here, or is that?
No, just an
on
update.
it? Yep. And next would be the recognition of Storm Creek and from Dakota Scott County Workforce Development Board Award, so. Did anyone, John?
Yep, I can look at this one as well here. We just wanted to bring forward the recognition of the Storm Creek business being a recipient of the Bob Killian Award. This recognizes individuals or companies for the innovative or quality practices, so that there's been a lot of competition for these awards from the Dakota Scott Workforce Development Board. Wanted to bring that to your attention, that we do have a reward recipient within our business park.
Congratulations.
And then I'm going to turn it over to Eric here. Eric has put together a nice summary of just a couple of things that we've been doing over the last year or so. It hasn't been terribly busy, apparently, but I'll turn it over to him.
Thank you, John. To summarize this, it's been included in your packet, but looking ahead as accomplished this year, I think first and foremost, we're just excited about the repositioning of a former target to a flea farm. So that was a big item that we wanted to get accomplished off our strategic plan. I'm very happy to have that box checked and looking forward to that opening fall of 2022. Also looking at strategic plan, again, this staff is using its guidance. Block 28, acquisition of 410 and 412 Million Street. And will hopefully continue to be active. That continues to work with current property owners on that block. Adoption of the downtown property study. That really set into motion two projects for HEDRA. Tyler Street Landing, future apartment project at 317 3rd Street, brought forward by Mr. Luke Seward. And then Flats on 3rd, UBC North, that extensively was working on. Both of those sites were included in the downtown property study, and staff typically use that study, send out to and stir interest in the development community. Schoolhouse Square Senior Housing goes on that TIF agreement. In addition to housing, we also have a big area industrial. Sold about 8 acres of land, give or take. Hickory Creek Rentals, Quality Wood Woodwork, Custom Sawdust, another electrical, that ultimately was rescinded. They did like to not work with the project. And then WSI Sportswear, which staff continues to work with them, including that project as well. HEDRA also approved a number of incentives, including the outdoor dining grant, which helped fund many of the parklets that we're seeing, as well as sidewalk cafes. We approved 7 grants totaling just shy of $27,000, but that created over 125 outdoor dining seats for the community that we hope will continue to help our businesses and our restaurants thrive. Revolving loan program, we adjusted it from a variable interest rate to a fixed interest rate. Facade improvement program, which you saw this evening, the first handful of them go out the door, $50,000 in funding, $40,000 for downtown, $10,000 for Main Street. We'll look at that again in July if we need to adjust that based on what's left. The industrial land credit program, we adjusted the jobs credit from $11 an hour to $20 an hour for each what we call job equivalent, which is equal to $5,400 off the sale price of the land. We refined the estate loans and we got repayment of 6 loans. Great update, and we also completed a handful of placemaking projects, parklets that were mentioned earlier, the Makers Market alleyway, which staff continues to work on for 2022, and the downtown holiday riverfront lighting. We're in year 2 of that contract. It's a 3-year contract, so it's again next year. And then finally, 12 business pension and expansion visits, as well as 104 business projects. That all stand for any questions?
Very busy year. Yeah. Commissioner Horsch?
Eric, I see something under the downtown Hastings. It says prepare repositioning plan for 213 Ramsey as a small business incubator and co-working space owned and managed by HEDRA. I don't remember that. Am I crazy? Maybe you can touch on that just for a second.
President Goldberg, Commissioner Horsch, yeah, that is something that we'll talk about. Something that I had that next on the agenda.
Okay.
That is something that staff is going to look for feedback on from HEDRA. The agenda in front of me, John, can you confirm if that's next up?
Yes, that is.
Yes.
Okay, just so I'm not crazy. I must have missed that. Okay, thank you. We're both a little crazy, I guess.
Any other questions on item D that we had an update on, or are we ready to move on? Eric, I think we're ready to move on to the update on the strategic plan check-in.
Great, thank you, Mr. President. So just looking for any general feedback that the HEDRA board may have. We updated timelines, checked off things that have been accomplished. One thing we wanted to get feedback from you all, and something that we're necessarily anticipating, that is the school district having given notice to the city that they are going to be vacating the property at 213 Ramsey Street. 4,000 square feet of space, which the city currently owns, does collect rent on presently. It will be right adjacent to the apartment project being proposed to be built by Mr. Stewart. Look for general feedback, strong ideas, potentially the co-working space or small business retail incubator downtown. We continue to see low vacancy in the downtown, which is a great thing. Are vacant, aren't necessarily available for lease. And so as we look to continue to support the downtown, trying to find a good way to use that property in the interim while still managing what type of investment might go in, not being entirely sure what might come of that building long term. So with that, we're just looking for a general sniff test. It's only something you might be interested in. Staff isn't proposing to spend any money yet. Staff time, of course, will be spent. But really looking for direction as to whether or not you think it's worthwhile to put some research and time into and see what it might take to bring that to fruition. So that was any questions.
Any questions for Eric?
I will.
Commissioner Sullivan?
Thank you, Eric. That sounds like a really cool idea, and I've often wondered why there isn't a space like that already in existence. So presumably you would have a conference room and then separate offices available if that were kind of to be the project. Is that roughly what we're looking at?
Potentially.
Okay.
It could. Yeah, again, but before we really dug our teeth into it, before I wanted to see was generally, or just we wanted to see if it was something that HEDRA generally supported staff spending time.
Okay, thank you. I definitely would support something like that.
With the concept then is rented as you need it, so it's, we go in there and it just be a a temporary facility for a day or two or possibly longer, so, yeah, that makes sense.
In terms of a co-working space, Mr. President, it would be, the way I understand that, so I think in my head it might be structured, where it'd be open to the public, free use, and Wi-Fi, things like that, places to work, both in a public setting as well as probably a quiet space to be in. But then also room for that small business incubator, retail type space, complete area, especially as we move further east in downtown, trying to bring more energy to that side of the downtown. Certainly many questions.
Yeah. So, one more question?
Eric, is there any place else like that in Hastings right now? I mean, I know you can get the library, I mean, you can rent a space, but,
Commissioner Horch, not that I'm aware of.
okay.
But there are some examples. City of Brooklyn Park is putting together a nice. Hutchinson has something similar. So there are some models that we can look at as fodder, but not currently in the city of Hastings.
I mean, it's intriguing with the increased rental space that's going to go down, departments and everything else, and the whole stay-at-home work concept. I mean, it's a good spot, I think, right now.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Vaughn?
I just want to follow up on, I like the concept, but I still want to get a little more detail on this. So I think this is workshop material that we talk about the concept of this, and is it really a viable use, or should we just rent the place out or something like that? So I'm all in favor. I just want to make sure that we probably have a little more workshop time on this one before we jump into it.
Understood, Commissioner. Yeah, and I think the purpose tonight was to see if this was something worth investigating. There are a lot of questions that come up, and so the questions may lead to this being something that is worthwhile or not. And I would agree with the Commissioner Vaughn that when we have more detail, to have a more substantive conversation is warranted, absolutely.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Commissioner Brox?
Thank you. As a person who works from home, I think this is a really good concept. I squat in coffee shops all the time to do work when I need to get out of my house because I'm trying to get away from my kids and my dogs, get something done. So I like the idea of it. My only question, the question that comes up in my mind is whether or not it would be more profitable to the city to sell the building, if there's a value in trying to sell the building instead of keep the space and try to use it ourselves. So I guess, to me, that should be part of our analysis, is whether or not that it would be better suited to be sold at fair market value.
Okay. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, this one, it's a little unique in that we own half the building and half of the parking lot. The other half is currently privately owned and has a leasee in there using the half the parking lot. So it's just an extra wrinkle to what this might look like or what potential sale might be.
Commissioner Johnson?
Would this require much investment as far as facility, or is this a pretty low overhead project? I know there's a lot of unknowns about that site with future development, so is this something you could put minimal funds into and operate it in the meantime?
President Goldbush, Commissioner Johnson, that's staff's hope. Hearing generally positive feedback from him this evening, will continue looking into this. There likely would be a upfront capital cost to build that out. I took just a quick walkthrough because it is currently used by the school district in their classes. It's a good building in good condition, generally speaking. The interior would come down to what we wanted to set the space up for ultimately, but at no cost. Then the hope would be that through rent that we could at least operate it at cost. We won't make a lot, but time will tell.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else tonight? The last would be our development update.
Yeah, go through a few updates on projects that have been going on within the city. On Block 1, we had some discussion at the last meeting pertaining to the property that we own north of Art Space, and we looked at a potential proposal by Mr. Barsonman Development for that property. Direction was given to staff to look at a few things on the property related to the Alta survey and determining what a market price would be. On the Alta survey, we're moving forward on that one. We have a couple of weeks left, I think, before that is complete, so I hope to have that before the February meeting. Price of the property is a little more of a challenge on that one. This is a unique piece. We have been able to reach out to various real estate professionals to get somewhat of an idea of what it's worth. So we've got some preliminary numbers. We want to get a little more information on that. We hope to have that back to you for the next meeting. Eric has been working on a Project Steel, which is always interesting with Greater MSP Indeed coming up with these different names for people that are looking for sites. This would be a large site within our industrial park, 35 to 40 acres. This, I shouldn't say within our industrial park, it could. It's being something that is being looked at throughout the state. So we have put in information, keep our fingers crossed to see if we'd be in consideration. It'd be a nice impact for the city with the employee base and the jobs that would be created on that one. But we're always active in responding to those type of inquiries on here and keep our fingers crossed. On the development side of things, I did get some information in after we put the packet out. Building permit numbers, development numbers from last year. We had our best year in 15 years as far as permits that are out there. We had 130 some permits that were constructed within the city. We had, I think, 34 single-family, 90-unit apartment buildings, some other mobile homes that went in as well. Valuation was much higher than what we've seen in years past. So we had a strong year on that end of it. We'll be sharing more information with you when the development reports come out later on. With the best property annexation, this is a 71-acre property on the southeast side of the city. A little bit of a wrinkle there. The original person who was in agreement to purchase the property is no longer seeking to do so. We do have an active application for annexation, which will continue, but the developer will change at this point. We have a public hearing scheduled before City Council on the 18th for that. Given the status of it at this point, we're going to ask council to hold the public hearing because we've sent notification out, but to table the public hearing to the future meeting and delay any action. We want to be able to get the development under contract, which it sounds like that's very likely within the next week. We've been talking to another entity that's very interested in purchasing the property. We need to make a determination as to what that concept plan would be and what we would be taking in for annexation. So short of it is, it continues to move forward. There's an entity that's very interested in purchasing and are actively going through contract negotiations on it. We'll have more to come as the future goes on here. Fleet Farm, we issued permits for interior renovation, and so they're moving forward on that project. We had some updates on the lots on 3rd of the NJS development. We were able to sell the UBC North building for $45,500, which was a lot more than we anticipated. We had a great pool going on in community development with what we thought the price of the building would be, and nobody came close to $45,000. I think the process we had was in the upper 30s, so we're pleased with that one. They're moving forward in demolition of the building. They need to have that demolition completed by February 14th, so that continues. The Quill, a lot of activity going on there. You can see the cranes, construction work going on with the foundation, which is great. The first house of the Villas of Pleasant is continuing, and we're had approval of Jersey Mike's, which is the demolition of Enterprise Car Rental on Vermillion Street, and construction of a new building there. So that is moving forward as well. So I can stand for any questions on any of the updates here.
Any questions for John or Eric? Thank you, John. Where are we at then? Sorry. I think that's it.
That concludes our reports for the night.
Sorry.
Thank you. No problem.
Well, thank you. Any other questions that anyone wants to bring up, or are we looking for a motion to adjourn?
That's all the information we have tonight. Thank you.
Looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting. Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That carries. Thank you.